What is something you did while blackout drunk that you still to this day cannot believe you did? I once hit on a cop car. There was dashcam footage released looking for any info on who it might be, and I recognized my hat and sweatshirt. I was 18 and living with some friends on a farmhouse in the country. As one of the few people in my social group living alone, we tended to throw some solid parties. I woke up one Sunday morning and my shoulders, back, and hands were killing me. I had a few serious blisters on my hands and had no clue where they had come from. I went downstairs, and there had to be 15 or so people passed out all over the living room, dining room, and kitchen. I woke up a friend of mine and asked him why everyone was still here. He groggily tells me that I wouldn't let anyone drive home drunk. So I had chopped down a tree, and it had fallen across the long driveway to the road. I walked about 50 yards down the driveway, and sure enough, I had chopped down a tree somewhere around 1 or 2 am, and it fell straight across the drive, blocking anyone from going home. I had to walk a few miles down the road to our nearest neighbor and ask him very nicely if he would be willing to bring his tractor over to our place and pull the tree out of the driveway. An hour and a half later, my friends all left in a conga line of cars 10 deep. Apparently I drank a red Gatorade from the fridge and later threw up in the bathtub, and my roommates thought I was throwing up blood. Of course no one called 911 lol, instead they decided to wait till the morning and ask bro, was that blood? Told my then GF, now wife, at her own birthday party at volume in front of a few other friends that we were leaving because I wanna duck. This is way out of character. I'm a real introvert and quiet. Then when she got me home I threw up all over our bed. Woke up in bed with a towel under me and a blanket on top with no idea what had happened, but I knew it must be bad. Weirdly she forgave me really quickly. Threw up on a band in Nashville during a live show. Girlfriend at the time needed to find an ATM, so I drunkenly followed her. When she found one, I sat on the concrete against a metal railing. I knew I was going to be sick, so I stuck my head through the railing and vomited my heart out. What I didn't realize was that it was actually about a 15-foot drop between me and the concrete, where a band was playing, with an entire audience watching. I told my ex and her mom to suck on these Christmas balls when they were both trying to get me off the floor. One of the guys in my group of friends was dating a girl. They had been together a while, and the rest of us weren't crazy about her. Maybe because we were all young, early 20s, and he was the first one of us with a serious relationship, and so we didn't see him as often. I got ridiculously drunk at a party, and ended up declaring my love for some girl I had just met, then passing out in the bathroom on the floor with the dogs. I was found at some point, and people were amused at my expense. My friend's girlfriend, rather than mocking me, helped me out. She took me upstairs, gave me some water, and put me to bed. Before passing out again I said something along the lines of, "You're really awesome. I don't know why everyone says you're rich." We didn't see our friend much for a while. Eventually things smoothed over. They got married and I was invited, so no permanent damage done. Still, I couldn't believe I said something so stupid. I've also never gotten that drunk again. Single-handedly crashing a completely random wedding in a foreign country while my grandparents watched. I just strolled onto their dance floor and ended up dancing with the bride for a while. For some reason, my friend wanted to show that he could do a lot of squats. We both pulled our pants down next to his fire pit, oh grave a circumflex a diaresis, and did a lot of squats. I didn't remember this, so I woke up terrified by how sore I was from bowling before the drinking started. I honestly spent all week having a crisis about this. Is it? I'm getting old and my body can't handle physical activity. And my friend told me his GF kept teasing him about us doing squats with our pants around our ankles. And I freaked out like, "Ah, duck, yes. I'm not getting old yet. I can still do things." I was very surprised one day to receive an email from Drunk Me reminding me to do something important. I had, and still have, absolutely no memory of sending it. But apparently Drunk Me had the presence of mind to know how drunk he was, so he created an email to send to Sober Me 2 weeks later. Drunk Me was very smart to plan ahead this way, and Sober Me appreciated it. Without being told to do so, I decided to climb down a ladder onto a frozen canal in Netherlands. Jumped up and down until the ice broke. Then sprinted a mile to get to my friend's apartment while drenched. Blacked out at a college bar. Phone was dead. Friends had left me behind. Got kicked out of the bar for being too drunk. I truly don't know the specifics of what happened, but I'm pretty sure I asked random people to give me a ride home and everyone denied me. Fell on the floor a plethora of times. My drunk brain must have been really desperate because I got into a taxi that wasn't on duty and the guy took me back to the main campus of the college I was at. I was visiting a friend, so I didn't know where his dorm was. I'm also still blacked out. I broke into a random dorm. Thank God it was suite of guys. And slept on their couch. Woke up to 4 or 5 dudes surrounding me asking me who the duck I was. I asked them where, insert friend's dorm hall, was, and they pointed me in the right direction and I reunited with my buddies who basically thought I died. I still remember walking into my friend's dorm with just a look of exhaustion and saying something like, "You will not believe what happened," before I slept for like 3 more hours. Edit. I don't know if I paid the taxi driver. Punched my friend right in the face. Apparently I said I would. Then he said you won't, so I did. I still can't believe it. Nothing. My friends refuse to tell me exactly how my last blackout played out, but they all smile at me whenever I ask. Tried to fight my friend who was twice my size, muscularly, because I thought he stole $50 from me. Turns out it was the big-titted waitress that I gave my money to so she would smash my head between her titties. Many things. 13 months sober. Me and a very attractive friend made out twice in our lives. The one time she can't remember. The other time I can't remember. Broke into a complete stranger's house. Turned on late night infomercials. And fell asleep on his couch. When owner woke me up I told him it's okay. Scott said I could stay here. Scott was a friend in Chicago. I honestly thought that in my drunken stupor I had hopped a freight train and made it to Chicago and found his place. Meanwhile my buddy was walking all over town looking for me. I came bounding out the front door of the stranger's house to hear said buddy yell hey. He was squatting against stranger's house dropping a load in the side yard. Somehow we managed to walk back to his place and fall asleep while watching Super Troopers in the wee early hours of the morning. It was not on purpose. Once at a bar I knocked a beer bottle over. It hit the floor and only the bottom came out. A perfect circle spinning like a coin. The rest of the bottle was intact. Some the bottom. I then called my mate and told him watch this. And tried to repeat the feat. I threw a second bottle on the floor and obliterated it. And we both got kicked out. I am female. My wife caught me peeing in the cat's litter box. She tried to get me to stop and I yelled at her like she was being ridiculous. Woke my husband up by eating his ass a few hours before he had to work an overnight. He forgave me and lovingly refers to it as the tequila story when telling it to all of our friends. I had a few drinks and went to bed. Woke up the next morning and the wife was making me a huge breakfast and telling me how brave I was to capture and take a rattlesnake from our living room and release it in the wash behind our house. Yo, I have a jigsaw puzzle memory of that. Got onto the stage at a dive strip club and did the helicopter. My buddy said I got cheered on by all the hunters until I pulled it out and did the helicopter. No me, but my friend, let's call him Dave. Dave used to bring a blanket and bottle of whiskey canoe camping for 2 nights. For food he usually brought a bag of bagels. He would just sleep next to the fire with a blanket and had as much fun as anyone else that brought a ton of it. Second night he wanders off and we hear a splash in the water. He's blackout drunk at this point. He swims to the other side of the river, climbs a tree, and sits in it for about a half hour. Finally climbs down, swims back across, and goes to bed. To this day he doesn't believe that he did it. We were all too drunk to know what to do, so we just watched the whole thing. I really wish I could have been in his head to know what he thought he was doing at the time. And why. I have to assume that he was spinning some fantastic tale in his drunken mind that caused him to do that. Trashed a hotel room in New Mexico. Broke the tank on the back of the toilet, flooding the bathroom, and somehow pulled a lamp out of the wall, shocking myself. I was convinced someone had broken into my room and tried to kill me. I GTFO the next day, really embarrassed about what had happened. Paid $500 in damages, so they did not press charges. Well, I got blackout drunk a grand total of 1 time in my entire life, and I projectile vomited all over the bathroom in a roommate shared apartment, coating literally every inch of it in my stuff. That's totally believable and par for the course for being drunk, or so I'm told. What I can't believe is that I had the presence of mind, the coordination and the willpower to dig out cleaning products from the vomit-soaked bathroom and clean the entire flipping thing from top to bottom, to the point where not only did nobody know I threw up in there, but in the morning my roommates were astounded that the bathroom was freshly sparkling clean after we'd all gotten blackout drunk the previous night. Was leaving a bar very intoxicated, holding my boyfriend's hand for balance, and I grabbed a very tall man's ass. I don't remember doing that, but I remember falling down right as I stepped out of the doorway and everyone cheering. Not me, but a friend of mine. We were in Hawaii with a bunch of us friends staying at a beachfront house. We all get really loaded, but my friend goes the full Monty, drinking multiple drinks containing Everclear. Fast forward to 15 minutes later and we walk to the beach, where said friend proceeds to yell "Slur nice tits lady" to a young mother with her toddler and husband in the kiddie play area. We grabbed him and took him back to the place we were staying immediately. We put him into bed in the main room so we could look in on him. The next time we checked in was around a half hour later. He was not in bed. We checked the bathroom and didn't see him there either. Those 2 rooms were the only ones in the house that he could get to without being seen by us. In the bathroom we discovered his shorts. They were the only article of clothing he had been wearing when we put him to bed. The manhunt began in earnest. Then, 3 of us found our in the neighborhood looking for a blackout drunk naked haole guy. Haole is a derogatory term in Hawaiian for a white guy. We canvassed the whole area all the way back to the beach and found nothing. We returned to the house totally freaked out, only to find our friend asleep in the bed, covered up but still in the buff. No one has any idea of where he was and we never heard any complaints. But for at least 15-20 minutes there was a necked haole running around a pretty popular beach in the middle of the day, and no one knows how he got there. Had a threesome? I don't remember. Not me, but a friend had a good year or 2 of blackouts. He mentioned one morning that he knew he drank too much whiskey because his ribs hurt. I had rescued him from getting his ass kicked in a fight he started with 2 Marines. After they had gotten in some serious shots on him, he didn't remember that, but he associated the pain from his regular beatings to a side effect of whiskey drinking, never actually remembering getting beaten up. Just like clockwork, he would black out on whiskey and wake up sore and just assumed it was a side effect of whiskey. TLDR, my friend would black out and get his ass kicked so often that he thought the pain in his ribs and torso from being beaten up was soreness from drinking whiskey. Allegedly, I was saying something and spat while I was talking. A guy said, "Hey bro, you just spit on me," and instead of apologizing like I would any other time, I said I spit on all my itches. Then the fight started. A rammed nightclub in Bangkok. It is literally standing room only. There are tables, large cable reels, but people are so crushed they are standing on them. Everywhere it is people, and sweat and squish. Your drinking arm was set above your head to stop the constant jostle. Bouncers, I vaguely recall, had guns? Certainly no to be ducked with. Anyway, I did the handstand, threw my drink over my shoulder, and dived to the floor, flipping my flip-flop encumbered feet upwards, squatting God knows how many people, and I swayed into this throng and set everyone to just toppling over. There was shouting, glass breaking, and I was giggling like a loon. Then 2 guys grabbed me either side, lift me up wholesale and just chuck me out of the club. I landed on my chest and got some road rash for it. The next thing I remember is waking up with the shells of maybe 7-800 pistachio on my chest. One of my shoes is under the mattress, and another is on top of the toilet. There is a bandage around my head, no wound, and blood from chest. What a pillock. That was my wake up call to get GTFO and sort my it out. That didn't last long. Set out my wallet, keys, 2 bottles of water and some aspirin for myself. Drunk me is really considerate. Back in college I did my fair amount of day drinking and midweek night drinking. I went out one night on a Thursday and came home at around 10 PM. I was drunk off my ass. I had a moment of clarity when I remembered I had a 5-page paper due in one of my English classes and had done maybe a rough outline. The oh it moment was epic. I remember staying awake and writing something on my desktop, but I have no clue what. I printed it out and passed out around 230 am. My roommate slapped me awake at 750 am and reminded me I had an 815 am class across campus. I quickly changed, grabbed my paper and backpack and flew off to class. I managed to turn in my paper and stay in class. Mind you, I was still drunk from last night. The following week I received my paper back with a please e me at office hours from my TA. It didn't have a grade, so I was just waiting for the big fat F. Turns out I got an A and my TA just wanted to know my thoughts on the material because it was insightful and different. So I told him the truth. I was drunk when I wrote it and I don't even remember writing it, let alone the thought processes behind it. He laughed so hard he was crying and said something like that happened to him too in undergrad. In one night I threw spaghetti at someone, opened a bag of Doritos in someone's living room and grinded it into the carpet with my shoes, threw the vacuum across the room when they tried to clean up the Doritos, flipped over a coffee table full of drinks and snacks, and punched a stair railing in half. This is all very out of character for me, because I used to black out a lot and was always very well behaved when I did. Do not do 10 shots of Caribou in 20 seconds. On Halloween I dressed up as a cop and walked by 6 officers as they shut down the party I was in. My friends say I had the biggest grin on my face and was saluting them the entire time. Got bored of the bar where my friends and I were hanging out. I went out to smoke and when they found me I was taking cover charges at the door. No, they were not charging a cover on a Wednesday night. My friends hustled me out of there quick, but I woke up with an extra $75. Me and my girlfriend were walking back from a party. I was blackout drunk and she was pissed. I was feeling hot so I took my shirt off, and she demanded I keep it on. Feeling rebellious, I decided I'm going to take my pants off too. Ran over the main bridge in town in my boxers while an embarrassed GF walked a fair distance behind me. Posed while some guys in a Mustang took pics of me. Fun. Edit. Wow, didn't think I'd get that many upvotes. Glad people like my story. Unfortunately I have many more like these. Went to a New Year's Eve party while underage. Got so wasted that my brother and friend had to drag me out of there well before midnight. Back home, they poured me into bed and hoped for the best. Apparently, around 3 am I started bazooka barfing everywhere. My bed, my brother's bed, we shared a room, the bathroom, the hallway, etc. My bro says he punched me in the face cause I barfed on his shoes, and I remember none of it. However, I will never forget feeling like I'd been run over by a truck when I woke up the next AM. Not blackout drunk, but crazy from 3 days without sleep and on a lot of meth. Don't do that anymore. Clean and sober for 15 years this November. I was out of my freaking mind. Literally, I was floating in the air suspended about 6 feet above myself, watching myself walk and talk and do things. But I was not in my body. In that state, my BF and I went to check into a cheap motel near Seattle to do even more meth, a really bad idea that landed me in the hospital the next day. I saw myself walk up to the front desk, ring the bell, and proceed to talk to the poor lady behind the desk in a loud, fake, pompous British accent. Greetings, my good woman. I wish to inquire about renting your very best quarters. I would like to inquire of you as to which of your many elegant rooms is the most tastefully appointed, like, add top decibels. This episode ended up being a total nightmare, which I won't go on about, but looking back, I have to laugh because there I was, a short, thin white girl with red, bugged out eyes, sounding like Stephen Fry's General Melchett from Blackadder. Nothing particularly egregious really, but I remember having a drunken night of gaming at home many years ago, just me, the PlayStation, and a case of beer. I reached a point where I had imbibed too much to game effectively, so I figured I would go to bed. I lie down for a while, and wouldn't you know it, the bubble guts start kicking up. I go to the toilet and sit down, thinking I was about to whoop up a batch of stool chili, but shortly thereafter, It became apparent that it was going to come out of the other end. Enter drunken logic. Any rational, sober person would, at that point, get up off the toilet, turn around, and take care of business with their face in the bowl. Not drunk me. No sir. I scooted back on that seat as much as I could, spread my legs wide, and aimed for the hole. Needless to say, it went pretty much everywhere except for in the toilet. Other experiences include, but are not limited to, sitting down on the toilet at 11 PM and blinking. I swear, all I did was blink, and then suddenly it was 1 o'clock in the morning, unwittingly buying a 1-year membership to a gay bar, and going on a hunting trip 2 hours away at about 10 PM when I had work the next morning. I took a Play-Doh mold of my friend's nipple and then walked around sucking on it. She thought it was so funny that she was recanting the story to me the next morning through tears. I climbed up the tracks of a roller coaster. I still have the photo I took to prove it. Freshman year of college. I tackled my friend through a doorway for no apparent reason. My friends had to put my ass to sleep. Hocked a loogie on someone unprovoked. They proceeded to fracture my cheekbone, to which I didn't even react or notice till the next morning. Then later that night I apparently full on made out with a homeless gay man with very rotten teeth. Even though I'm not gay or bi, I also pushed someone into a campfire cause they were mocking me. I pushed him so hard he went into the fire but kept on rolling all the way through it thankfully and was unharmed. Another time, I fingered my best friend's baby's mom at a silent orgasm who was sitting on my left side, while my oblivious girlfriend was sitting on my right and holding my hand cuddling with me. Didn't realize till afterward that friend's baby mama was on her period. Yeah, I used to be a total piece of it. I've done worse but this is all I have time to recount right now. Plus a lot of the other stuff is too embarrassing pathetic. Edited to add. Not that anyone cares. But I'm sober now by some miracle. Lost friends. So, supper time. I was at a game night at a friend's house and this girl and I who were friends just started leaning on each other in a kind of intimate cuddly way but not too romantic. We both had so's, and we were all friends. We talked about it the next day and decided it was sweet and a moment but we both were happy where we were. Drunk time me, a few months later, making a scene outside the dorms, was in the process of being subdued and put to bed by my then GF, who was friends with Cuddle Buddy, CB, and her BF, who were present. I insisted I would calm down and go to bed if I just got a hug from CB. No funny stuff. And apparently, instead, I tried to kiss her, full on lips, and also in front of her BF. Months go by, and CB and her BF just stop hanging out with us. I'm not invited to any more game nights, so I assume they just went on hiatus. It was probably a year before I found out what I did that night, when CB's BF and I happened to be at a mutual friend's house for some other social gathering, and I made a snide remark that he had just decided he was too good for me or something, and he went off on me and told me what I did. I apologized, repeatedly and profusely, which wasn't acknowledged or accepted, and left that party. Never spoke to either of them again, and just generally hated myself. Well, more so, and made that one of the many awful things I've done that pop into my mind as I'm trying to go to sleep. I accidentally won a karaoke contest. Made some really strong margaritas before a Jimmy Buffet concert. I remember walking in and walking out. I cannot remember any of the show. Told everyone I wanted to sleep with the Asian bank teller who just approved my loan that week.